Shalom, this is about President Obama. I think anybody who actually looks at the evidence will see clearly that he's a pro-Islamic radical jihadist in support. All of the evidence points to that. And I'm going to provide a link to 280 plus examples, but I want to just give you a few because I think the evidence is so clear and people are just afraid to admit it. I mean, the consequences of actually believing that the president is a jihadist is terrifying, but he is. And we can't begin to deal with it until we understand that. And I believe Hillary is also, and I'll provide another video to explain that. But just think about it from the very beginning, his first foreign policy speech. I'm just going to give you a few examples. He went to Egypt and he spoke, and he, instead of speaking as Mubarak wanted him to at the parliament, he insisted on speaking at the Islamic Center, which is a Muslim Brotherhood place. Now, Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization, according to most, although not by Obama. And he insisted the Muslim Brotherhood, who Mubarak tried to quash for 50 years, he insisted that they be present. And then when he insisted Mubarak be dethroned, he backed Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood guy, and gave him $1.5 billion and our F-15s. And then when Morsi was deposed by the population and the generals in Egypt for a pro-Western government, Obama was mad. And he's hired Muslim Brotherhood guys. We have 72 people on the terrorist watch list working for Homeland Security, not to mention all the Muslim Brotherhood and other terrorists that have been hired by the Obama administration. I'll provide links to all of it. And just remember, his father was Muslim, so by Muslim law, he's Muslim. He went to Indonesian schools of Islam. His brother is a Muslim Brotherhood leader in Kenya. We have links of Obama talking about how precious Islam is to him, and the Holy Quran, he keeps calling it. I mean, the guy's clearly a Muslim. Even Reverend Wright, who's his minister, supposed Christian minister, former Nation of Islam guy, for 26 years, says that Obama came to him and just asked, how do we pretend to convert to Christianity and stay a Muslim? And just think about this Iran deal. Nobody who's not a jihadist could possibly really believe that it's a good program. 238 generals and admirals opposed the Iran deal, but Obama insisted on it. And he started sending secret negotiation people to Iran even before he got elected, saying, wait to negotiate with me and I'll give you a better deal. Why would he do that? And ISIS, he's done nothing to fight ISIS in a year and a half. The mightiest military in the world, and they're still standing. It's ridiculous. And the pilots come back and say that half the time they're sent out to told not to bomb. Or one time we had a bombing campaign and they ran out of bombs. I mean, who does that? He called them JV. He says they're contained. And then they're wreaking havoc all over the world, and he's done nothing significant to stop them. And then just think about the FBI and police. He's handcuffed them. He makes them scrub the word Muslim and Islamic from their training manuals, and he won't let them do the proper investigations. Every time that there's a Muslim incident, he blames it on gun control or workplace violence, and the other Democrats say stupid things. Hillary says combat it with love. Bernie Sanders says it's climate control. I mean, these people are insane, and Obama clearly is trying to avoid saying that it has anything to do with Islam. In fact, he says it openly. Nothing to do with Islam, and he won't call them Islamic terrorists. How can you possibly fight this unless you begin by understanding what its origin is? And then he's been the most hostile president to Israel ever. I mean, Michael Oren's book, who was a former ambassador from Israel, just explains in great detail, page after page after page, of how Obama and the people he hired hate Israel and tried to hurt Israel. And then the idea of bringing 100,000 Syrian refugees to the United States, all of our intelligence agencies said we can't vet them. 13% of them say that they support ISIS. 80% of them are military-aged men coming from Syria, and Obama wants to bring them here, guaranteeing more terrorism. Not to mention the 1.5 million Muslims that Obama's already brought here. And 25% of them, of the American Muslims, say they support violent jihad to anybody who embarrasses Muhammad. And 51% want to replace our Constitution with Sharia, which is sedition. And you think about how terrorism is spread all over the world, and Obama, under Obama's watch. Now, isn't that interesting? Think about him having dinner with Rashid Khalidi and Edward Said over 30 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago, I'm sorry, when he was in his 30s with Michelle, two of the leading anti-Israel, militaristic Palestinian people. All of his defense secretaries, former, say that he ignores all the advice that they've given. He ignores the intelligence advice. He skips half of his intelligence briefings. I mean, who does that? Think about the trade of the deserter Bergdorf for 5 Taliban leaders and his insistence on closing Gitmo and keeps releasing all these people held at Gitmo. Think about the lie of Benghazi, where it was clear to our intelligence services that night, to Hillary Clinton, who admitted it, to her daughter and to 2 American leaders, but she and Obama and Susan Rice continued to lie, blaming it on some video that nobody watched, just so they could continue their narrative that Al-Qaeda and world terrorism is on the decline. These are just a few of the examples of 280 plus that I've compiled that shows clearly that Obama, born to a Muslim father, educated in Muslim schools, brother is Muslim Brotherhood, admits to loving Islam. His minister to Christianity said that he phony converted. So clearly a Muslim in his life. Anybody who admits it is just trying to do PC for Islam. And then he does everything he can during his administration to advance the cause of Islamic terrorism, to bring more Muslims to America, besides the fact that 80% of them vote Democratic, which is reason enough for him. So I think we can only conclude based on the evidence that Obama is a jihadist.